Welcome back. At the index level, there is no big move, so we're still flat, but with a positive bias now on the benchmark indices. The Nifty is up close to about 25 odd points, so there has been a bit of a pickup. But keep your eye on some individual names. So Apollo Hospitals is now surging. It's rallied close to about 7.5%. It opened the day flat with a gain of about 1 to 2 odd percent, but it's picking up. The stock is, or this company is now seen as a value play, or the street is expecting some incremental value coming in from its digital platform as well, and that perhaps is the reason why Apollo Hospitals is now trading at even a premium to some of its peers. Apart from that, you've got up moves seen in many of these logistics names. So Gati, All Cargo Logistics are also up for you on your screen. Right now, let's talk about the overall markets, individual sectors and stocks. Jigar Shah is now here with us. Jigar, morning. At these levels, are you bullish? Are you cautious? Are you bearish? What is the approach?
I think the market is benefiting from an extremely good liquidity at the global level, and we are seeing fairly good indicators of recovery as the vaccination progresses. The other very good trend is that the corporate profitability and the earnings have looked up after a long time. So FY21 was a year with a double-digit earning growth, which happened after a fairly long period of time. And it happened in a year which was a very difficult year otherwise. So this year also the consensus Bloomberg earnings for the Nifty are showing some 30% plus increase. And if one goes by the first quarter advanced text data, then it seems to be going in the right direction despite the second wave. So these are the positive things. Obviously, some of the more challenging issues or concerns are the valuation itself at about 22 times 1 year forward earnings, and then the commodity price inflation and its impact on the profit margin, the overall stance of the credit policy, and the global flows. So I think these all concerns do remain, and if at all there is a correction, the correction should be global in my view, and that could bring down the markets by 20-25%. But at this point of time, it appears that things are still in favor of the market heading higher, both for Nifty and even the mid and small caps.
Right, take that point. Let's get stock specific now. We're seeing a bit of a dip in Reliance over the last two trading sessions. The annual general meeting was yesterday. What did you make of these announcements? And to that extent, what would your call be on the stock?
So let me clarify at the outset that we don't formally cover Reliance, but I do track the company closely from my earlier days and as an analyst covering oil and gas. And I followed yesterday's AGM, which was like an extremely good vision for the next decade. Most important thing coming out of yesterday's AGM was the company's resolve towards the net zero and the decarbonization. And this is an extremely important step for the risk management, especially for a large global oil and gas company, for which it is very hard to abate these emissions because they are in the business of using fossil energy. So what has been announced is very significant because as the world moves towards 2030 and then 2050, there are very, very challenging net zero targets for every country and more so for the large companies. And they could have to pay big price if they are not moving in this direction. So to my mind, what they've announced is not only good for their business, but it's very good for the decarbonization. And as they implement this risk management strategy, the company's perception can be better in terms of investors which are getting more and more aligned to sustainability and ESG at a global level, whether they are long-only investors, pension funds, and insurance companies.
Jigar, this JioPhone Next launch, which is quite imminent, right? Just September, it's around the corner. How much of an impact do you think it will have on the likes of Bharti? Do you think it can erode its feature phone base? Jio will now have greater subscriber momentum. what could be the impact on Bharti? Up until now, Bharti's managed to, stave off the competition pretty well. So it did well even with the Jio phone launch. But is it going to get increasingly tough for Bharti to do that again and again?
Well, it depends on the pricing of the phone. I believe that is still to come out. And I mean, so far we have seen that, Bharti has played its strategy quite well. And it is fairly competitive in the service and overall offerings. It's been strengthening its service offering to customers, and also the branding remains pretty good. I don't really see any major impact due to that.
Right. Do you have a view on a handful of these mid-caps? Case in point, something like Apollo Hospital. We're seeing a big move come by on Cummins as well as we speak. Metals continue to do well. Any thoughts on these sectors, diagnostics, hospitals, metals, and the cap goods space?
So again, a lot of these names we don't cover, but on Apollo Hospital, I think the biggest attraction will be that they are trying to work on something where India has seen major issue with the pandemic. That is the crunch of the healthcare facilities and the availability of correct diagnosis to people in the remote areas. So I think they are going to leverage the technology, and they are going to make a doctor available to millions of people around the country. So I think this is a very big step. It will take some time before it becomes a really mass service, but it's going to be a game changer. And I believe that a lot of other companies, including startups backed by private equity and venture capital, would also enter this area. But Apollo Hospital is very well within its rights to be there first. And I think it's a great new launch, in my opinion, which can change the course of healthcare sector and healthcare delivery in the country. So I would remain positive even on the prospect of hospitals in general, as well as on diagnostics, because that will also increase. Maybe legislative changes can bring it inside the insurance. That will further increase the penetration of diagnostic tests. And then, of course, pharma industry, which is benefiting both from the local as well as from the global trends.
Jigar, unfortunately, run out of time, but thank you very much for joining in. The next time we chat, I wanted to get your opinion on where you see value right now in the markets, given the kind of run-up we've had. But thanks again for joining in.
You.
Get into a break. On the other side, we'll talk about the steel stocks, which have surged in trade. We'll tell you why these stocks are surging.